Hey everybody, Invisiblekatana here doing a live reaction to the Kong Skull Island trailer. I'm excited to check this out. You know, King Kong is like the American Godzilla, except I feel like we kind of abandoned him. I was looking it up because I had to start this video over because I was like, I want to actually know how many King Kong movies there are. So I'm on Wikipedia right now and it shows that there are 8. And we're going into, it's supposed to be in 2020, but Godzilla versus King Kong, so depending on how well this actually goes, we might actually get that. If this blows, then I don't know, they might still do it because I would still, even if this movie sucks, King Kong versus Godzilla, I want to see that if I'm being totally honest because we did already have it in 1962 it says, so I think that's due for a remake and I'm fine with that. But I always felt like King Kong was like this huge thing. Everybody knows King Kong, but we just kind of abandoned it. Like, you know, Japan has Godzilla, America has King Kong, and I freaking love both of them. Like, obviously I love Godzilla more because Godzilla just has way more films to watch, so it's like I get to love that character way more. And then it's like, oh, let me watch a King Kong movie from 1933, the last one being in 2005, which most people didn't like, and before that was 1986. Like, I don't know how many Godzilla movies came out between 1986 and 2005, but I bet there were a bunch. I bet there were a ton of them. I know there was at least one because that American Godzilla movie came out, and then Toho had to make a Godzilla movie where the real Godzilla destroyed the American Godzilla, and they were like, no, that's dumb. But we're going to get into this Kong Skull Island trailer and, I don't know, see what it's all about, I guess.
These are photos of an island in the South Pacific.
I know Sam Jackson was in this.
We use explosives to shake the earth, helping us to map the surface of the island. They're dropping bombs. Scientific instruments. Is that a monkey?
I shouldn't have laughed at that, but that was funny to me.
Magnificent.
Didn't know he was in that either.
I'm sorry for your men, Colonel. But if you want to make their sacrifice worthwhile, get us home with proof. Monsters exist. Whoa. Your friend there can put that down.
Didn't know there's a bunch of people in this. I had no idea we're in this movie.
That's calm.
That's pretty cool.
Kong's pretty good, King. Keeps to himself mostly. Well, you don't go into someone's house and start dropping bombs unless you're picking a fight. Kong's God on the island, but the devils live below us.
Apocalypse Now type stuff.
And what are they called? I call them skull crawlers. Why? Never said that name out loud before. It sounds stupid now that I say. Just you call them whatever you want.
Okay. That's pretty cool that there are multiple creatures. All giant spiders. That's kind of cool. I like that. I like that.
This is a good group of boys. We're all gonna die together out here. You should have come here.
Okay, so that was pretty cool. I actually like that. I think that what they did with it as far as having the multiple creatures is really cool because they kind of had that in the last movie, the Peter Jackson one, but mostly it was just dinosaurs, which I still thought was cool because it was there's that part where he like kills that T-Rex and he like snaps his jaw, and that's really awesome because I bought the video game. I have it on GameCube, and when you get to play as King Kong, you just like rip little raptors apart and you like fight a bunch of T-Rexes. So that was sweet for a video game. But this I really love. It's like it's not just Kong, and then it's like oh, there are dinosaurs which we're familiar with. It's new types of creatures. So we have some stuff we're familiar with, like I said, the giant spiders. It's basically like a giant yak, you know, comes out of the water and stuff. So it's like, alright, there's some stuff in here that's definitely familiar to, you know, the normal world. and then we just get to see it in like a crazy super version. And then there's other stuff where it's like it was like a mixture of, it was almost like the raptor of these movies. They're like, they look like almost like reptile, like salamanders, sort of, with like actual skulls. They almost, honestly, this is really weird for anime fans. It made me think of Bleach. Some of the Arankar a little bit, like some of the creatures that come after the people. I just thought of that, but I thought it was cool. I like the idea that there are going to be other types of creatures. There's one thing that looks like it just flat out comes out of basically a tree trunk, but and it looks like it's made out of wood. So that looks sweet to me as well. And it's like, it's not just Kong. It's not just Kong and then dinosaurs. It's like Kong and maybe some pseudo dinosaur types of things with the skulls, or like lizards. Giant bugs with the spiders. This weird giant tree thing. So that's awesome to me. I like that idea. It's the same story. Like there's not much you can change for King Kong. Like King Kong, I think, as far as the story, maybe this is why we don't have so many movies. Godzilla can run around, all the time. King Kong, it's always that he's on the island, and then the sequels are when he's out, about town. I guess I don't know why. I don't know why I said it that way, but I thought it was pretty cool. It didn't like blow me away, if I'm being totally honest. I do like the fact that it's set in a different time period, because the last movie, the Peter Jackson movie, was set in like the 20s, and they were like going to film a movie. This is set in the 60s. You can clearly tell. Like this song is one of the, like, every time a movie is set in like the 60s, they use that song, or they use that other song, and I can't think of I don't know the name of that song, but they only use like two songs when it's set in the 60s. So that was kind of cool. You can see with the, the way everybody's dressed, the helicopters and stuff like that. It's like, okay, it's set during a very specific time, and you have all these people. Of course, they're all going through. They're probably doing the same thing. They're, instead of making a movie, they're kind of like terraforming the land for themselves a little bit. So it's like, all right, there's a different reason for them being there, but ultimately, they get there, and then there's chaos. They run into this guy, who's been on the island for a while, so that's interesting. I think that's a cool, like a very cool difference from the last film. I've only seen the Peter Jackson movie because the old one, I don't want to watch like the weird looking claymation one. Like I like King Kong as the concept, and I love the character, but don't love him enough to watch those super old movies. It's like I'm just not, just not that much for me. But I like this trailer. I think it's cool. I'm curious to see where they go with this, as far as what they do with the different types of creatures and what they do with Kong himself. Because I'm assuming it's going to do what every Kong movie does, like, like they talk about getting proof. Typically, that results in King Kong going to New York City. So, I don't know if we'll get that. They kind of reference it a little bit with the woman when she puts her hand out to Kong. So, I don't know. We might get that. We might not get it. Who knows? It seems like we will, just because it's King Kong. It would be weird if they didn't, but at the same time, they don't have to. They don't have to be like, hey, here's King Kong. Plus, he died. So if they're trying to do the sequel, King Kong versus Godzilla, I guess he won't go to the city. But I think he died in the original one too, and they still managed to make a sequel. So I don't know. But fine trailer. I'll be honest, it didn't like blow me away or anything like that, but I thought it was fine. I thought it was a good trailer. I am excited to see this movie. It comes out in March. There are like a million good things coming out in March. Like Marvel has a bunch of stuff coming out. They got the Netflix show. I think they have a movie. Somebody has a movie coming out in March. This is coming out in March now too. So March is really jam packed with a bunch of stuff I want to do. So I'm excited for March next year. But this is a fun trailer. I definitely like the visuals for it. I think Kong looks really good. Like it's an interesting version because Kong is King Kong. But I like how they made it where he seems a little bit slender. So he seems like he might be, somewhat agile just a little bit, which, primates typically are. So I kind of like that idea where he's, kind of like the other creatures where it's like a giant spider. It's still a spider. It's just ginormous. So he's still able to move around like any other, giant ape or whatever. But, he's just ginormous, so he still has that agility as any other, normal size ape. He just happens to be huge, so he can do that on a much grander scale. So that, I think, is actually a pretty cool idea. I like that idea where he's still going to be lumbering because he's huge, and anybody who sees him is going to be like, it's a giant thing. It looks like it's moving really slow because it's so big. but he looks a bit slender, like he could, jump around and do all sorts of stuff like that, and it won't take forever for him to turn around and like just wipe out a whole town. It seems like he could just jump and roll and just destroy everybody. So I like that. We'll have to wait and see how they really utilize the physical nature of King Kong in this movie. But I like that. Like I said, the other creatures, especially the sort of lizard-looking ones that don't have legs, they just have arms. Those I'm excited to see. They also, now that I think about it, they make me think of some of the creatures from his video game thing now instead of anime. Dead Space. For anyone who may have played that game, there's some creatures that don't have legs and they only have arms. It makes me think of that too. But I like what I'm seeing so far. Ton of actors that I didn't know were in this movie. I haven't looked into this too much because I didn't really want to know. Um, so it's funny going through this, like, oh, I didn't know he was in here or he was in there. Like a bunch of people in here that I had no idea were a part of this film. So that's kind of funny when, just going through it. But I'm excited to see where they take this one. It seems like it'll be fun. All these people there are about, I think, maybe 3 dozen extras that are going to get killed in this because that's how King Kong goes. There are always the other creatures that wipe out 1,000,000 people. So we'll have to see. I'm looking at the trailer right now again, just going through it. But I like it. I think it looks fine. Visuals seem pretty cool. I'm definitely excited for these creatures. I don't know, oddly enough, that's what I'm most excited about. Like, I know I'm fine, they're going to do King Kong. I'm sure he'll be good. I want to see what they do with these extra creatures, especially the ones that show up the most, like the ones with with no legs. So, looking forward to this movie. Should be crazy. I think we're only going to see about 2 or 3 of these main characters survive, because that's also how King Kong typically goes. So, we'll see how that works out. But I am excited for this movie. I'm definitely going to see it. This seems like the type of movie that would be nice to see in IMAX, actually. But definitely want to know what you guys thought about this trailer. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, your least favorite parts about it. And there's not too much to compare this to. I mean, you may have seen the Peter Jackson King Kong. You may have seen the older ones. And it's almost unfair to compare it because, like I said, with Godzilla, there's so many Godzilla movies. It's like, alright, there are a bunch of iterations. With King Kong, it's like, it's almost like every 20 years it feels like, here's a movie. So we have, let's see. So 1967 and 1962 was King Kong versus Godzilla. 1967 was King Kong Escapes. After that was 1976, 1986, and then 2005. And now it's 2016. So there's some really big gaps with King Kong, so it's almost hard to compare it to the older films. But if you've seen the older ones, or just if you know anything about King Kong, I would love to know what you guys think about this movie compared to, some of the older ones. Like I said, it's almost unfair to compare it because it with such huge gaps, you go back 3 movies, and you're in 1976. So it's like, it's almost unfair to compare it. But I do want to know what you guys think about it as far as in comparison. Story wise, it's in the different time period. Like I said, the last one they were like, let's make it in the 20s. So that is a cool aspect to it. It changes the dialogue and ideals of some of the characters based on what they're going through, from their own country. Things like that kind of affect what's going to happen throughout the storyline, or at least some of the dialogue in it. So I like that idea of it, but want to know your comparisons and, like I said, what you thought about the trailer in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.